Purchasing new tires for your vehicle is definitely not a small investment, and you'll quickly find there's many different options out there. It can be kind of confusing with all the different types, makes, and models and everything, so I thought I'd bring you this review of the Continental DWS, which is the tire that I selected that best fits my needs and wants. It's definitely not a cheap tire. It costs around $120 to $130 a piece, but it's a great all-rounder, does a lot of things very well. So let's take a more detailed look and find out just what makes the DWS such an awesome tire. Now, the Continental ExtremeContact DWS is an all-season tire. All seasons are the most popular kinds of tires. There's also performance summer tires, there's all-weather tires, and there's also winter tires, just to name a few. However, despite being an all-season tire, it provides great traction both in wet and snow conditions, as well as just providing a quiet and comfortable ride, and also good handling. So far now, I've spent a few thousand miles with the Continental ExtremeContact DWS. I had the Bridgestone Turanza before that, which is what came on this car from the factory. It was a decent tire at first, but it very quickly started to become very annoying. It was loud and had a lot of vibration at higher speeds, and the winter traction just wasn't that great. But I will be making a few comparisons from this tire to that tire throughout the video. So basically, the first point I want to make about the ExtremeContact DWS is the winter traction. I bought it in the winter and wanted something that would provide decent traction for an all-season tire, and I have to say it's been pretty good. You do notice a little bit of a hesitation kind of starting out. There isn't a whole lot of grip there. Basically, if you're in some snow or slush, the best thing to do is turn off the traction control, put the car into second gear if you can, and once you rev it up to about 1500 or 2000 RPM, you'll get a little bit of wheel spin, but after a few seconds, the tires will get some grip and you'll be moving just fine with no problems. And once you do get going, the tires are very stable and have lots of grip. And there's actually been a few times when we had 4, 5, 6 inches of snow. I never shoveled my driveway, and it went through it no problems at all. So for an all-season, it's a pretty good tire in the snow. It's obviously not a dedicated winter tire, so I'm pretty impressed with its performance. As far as the on-road performance of the DWS, it's a very good tire, like I've said it quite a few times throughout the video already. I do have to say, though, that as far as the steering and inputs and the brake input, there could be a little bit more feedback and response, but that's really nitpicking because there are so many other good attributes about this tire. For example, the ride quality. If you're going over very short sudden bumps, you'll notice it's kind of rough, but over more kind of long drawn-out bumps, it's very smooth, and it's also very stable when going over bumps. You don't feel that the car is being tossed around a lot. It just kind of just goes where you put it. Also, there's a little bit more noise than you might expect when actually coming in contact with the bumps, but for the most part, it really isn't that bad, and it's a pretty smooth tire in general. Also, it's very quiet, especially on the highway. That's where I really noticed the biggest improvement over the old tires that I had. I used to have to turn down the radio and turn off the climate control when I wanted to talk to somebody on the phone because the tire noise was so bad. And it was like that for a long time. It's not just because the tires were getting extremely worn. It was like that for most of the life of the tire. Here with the DWS, I don't have that problem at all. There's a little bit of vibration coming through in the steering wheel and the seats, but it's not nearly as bad as it was with the previous Bridgestone Turanza that I had. So, it's got quite a bit of refinement to it. As far as the handling characteristics of the tire, I haven't gotten a good chance to really get out and really test it to its limits, and I probably won't for a while, but I have noticed, doing some spirited driving that is pretty good and will definitely meet any expectations of the average consumer of this tire. It holds the road very well, there's lots of grip, and it really doesn't lose traction at all, really, unless you're going to be pushing it to its absolute limits. But for the vast majority of people that are going to buy this, it handles extremely well. It really does. And the last point that I want to make about the DWS is its highway performance. I know I've said the ride is very smooth and quiet, but on the highway, I just want to stress that it is a very good tire. I've taken the vehicle up to Chicago since getting this tire, and it's about 3 hours one way. And with the Bridgestone Turanza that I had before, it really had a lot of road noise and a lot of vibration. but you know, the DWS is very smooth, and you really notice it on those longer journeys. I've also taken the vehicle to St. Louis, Missouri since getting this tire. Again, about 3 hours one way, and I was very impressed with just how well the tire handled, you know, those higher speeds and everything, just with the smoothness and the quietness that it provides you with. It is a really good tire for traveling and doing longer journeys. Also, it's recommended that this tire will last around 50,000 miles. Obviously, it depends how you use the tire, but you know, most people will get around 50,000 out of it, which is pretty good. I got a little over 30,000 on the Bridgestone Turanza, and by then they were pretty much shot. So to just kind of wrap everything up, the DWS has lots of good attributes about it with very few drawbacks, those of which being, you know, the feedback and response from the steering and brake inputs, and also there's a little bit more noise than you might expect when actually hitting the bumps on the road. But for the price that you pay, it really is a pretty good all-rounder, providing you with great traction in the wet and in snow conditions, also being, you know, very quiet and very comfortable on the road, and also handling very well.